Hello all. Today we're going to be polishing up the rover that I designed in my durable rover tutorial video. So this is what it's like right now. It's got pretty much all the functional blocks that I want on it, at least all the ideas in the framework of what I want. So we're going to package this basically a little bit more nicely and streamline everything, set up all the control parts and whatnot, and then upload it onto the Steam Workshop so everyone else can use it and enjoy it. I think the first thing I want to do is make sure that it has all the proper blocks. The remote control is going to get moved. I think I need to put this in a more secure location where it's not going to explode as often. So I think right here's not a bad spot. I still want it facing backwards. And on the other side we still need, oh, I don't have my parachute again. Yeah, so there's supposed to be a parachute there, and then we need a timer block to go with our survival kit. We never put that on before. And we will just mirror our remote control for that. So that is good. We did roll it in the other video, and we found out that all of this back stuff just kind of detonates. So we're going to support a lot more stuff with armor blocks. And I think I am going to use the light armor blocks on top like we were before. It keeps the center of balance low, and they work just fine. We're also going to add bumpers right about here, I think. And by bumpers, I mean blast doors. And I want the blast doors to hit on rolls before the connector hits, because the connector is attached directly to a conveyor underneath, and I don't want the connector and the conveyor to both explode. So I'm just going to put a good amount of bumpers around this. Maybe something like that. That's probably overkill. We'll just go with the single one, and hopefully that hits before this does. It probably will. And then we are going to do something a little bit different here. We're going to use blast doors, but we don't want the blast doors touching these. You know what, we're actually just we're gonna put one blast door here, because if it rolls over the back, this blast door will hit before any of this stuff, and then we'll just leave it open here. I was gonna turn some blast doors and like that, because that won't be attaching to these blocks, but if I have a vertical one already anyway, that's gonna hit and this isn't, so we're just adding unnecessary weight to the top if we do something like that. Just get out all our shaping blocks that I like to use, and we will do a little bit of shaping here. And I really like using these armor panels to cover up areas where I would like to have armor, but I can't really have armor, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Armor panels there. I honestly think putting panels across here wouldn't be the worst thing either. Though I do like being able to see my battery power, so if I do that, maybe I will flip the batteries. Alright, a little bit of that. There we go. That's okay. Just getting a little bit better shape to the roof. And then we will do something like this. Once again, just cut and paste to get rid of those dangling blocks. And we'll cover that up nicely. I like using thinner blocks whenever I can because it just reduces the weight on top, but it still gives some armor benefit. Okay, I can kind of see that looking decent once it's built up. This you're never really going to see, but it's going to bother me if I don't fix it. Now that is fixed. I think this will look okay once we put paint on it. And I don't think these bumps are going to be in the way of the wheels. Now, if the wheel compresses, I'm not certain about that because you can see the wheel goes all the way over close to the edge of these blocks. It's not going to turn, but if it gets pushed up a whole ton, it might actually catch on these blocks here. So that we'll just have to do some testing, I guess. And we'll find out quickly if that's going to be a problem. Turret fits nicely up there. Looks like it belongs, and it has good range of vision. A little bit of a blind spot in the back, but we'll just have to deal with that. I don't think it's worth changing. I think armor-wise it's looking pretty good. I do think we should do a test run with it just to check that. And I do want to change this block right here. Yeah, smoothing it out just a little bit more again. Alright, let's take this out, let's roll it a whole bunch and see what blows up. We do want to make the changes we made to the wheel suspensions last time. Alright, wheel suspensions are adjusted. I'm just going to look at them, see how much they are compressed. We're definitely heavier now because we added a bunch of armor, but we did add mostly light armor around the top. I'm not worried about armoring the stuff that's right here because the wheels are going to hit before that every time. We lost our decoy blocks though. Let's get decoy blocks back on here. Perhaps a good spot for these would actually be back here. Now, that is fairly close to my survival kit. However, they should be far enough out to the side that damage is not going to go through to the survival kit. And they have heavy armor blocks between them and the survival kit, so I'm thinking this is going to be okay. There we go. I kind of like the way that works. It doesn't look phenomenal, but it's a very functional part to add, so there's a trade-off that you kind of have to make with that. And I think it's acceptable. It's not great, but it's acceptable. I don't know if that makes it better at all, or worse, honestly. I kind of like it, so I'm going to stick with it. Alright, we'll blueprint this right away before we go destroy it. We're going to just take it out and we're going to roll it. We're just going to roll it on this plateau down here. I'm just not going to control the roll. I'm just going to let it do what it would do. We'll flip it back upside right afterwards. So, of course, we lost the turret. We always are going to lose the turret when you roll, pretty much. I lost an engine, which is not good. It looks like this light armor really didn't protect a ton, and these roll things did not protect our connector at all. Which is kind of unfortunate. It certainly wasn't as bad as last roll, but we weren't going as fast. Let's go ahead and do another roll. Just beat this thing up until it doesn't work anymore and see what's broken. We'll just kind of land sideways and see what happens. Well, I hit a tree, which turns out to be a good thing because it just slowed me down. We'll just go land upside down. It's about your worst case scenario right there. You could be going faster. Yeah, we're losing the survival kit frequently. And that is one of the worst things to lose. So we need to design better armoring for the survival kit. We did land with that side hitting first. So maybe we do a little bit something different. Get rid of that. Drop this back in. This armor did not protect that at all. And it's not entirely surprising because it's attached directly to that. There's not a great way, I don't think, to get around attaching directly to that. Now I could put heavy armor blocks around the top, and I might eventually do that, but that is going to raise my center of mass significantly. But it might be worth doing, so I'm actually just going to go ahead and do it. And I really want this to survive, so I'm going to try. Now this is going to get in the way of the connector functioning, because the large grid connectors are bigger than the small grid ones, so I don't think it will be able to fit inside here. But I can really quickly just test if maybe that keeps me from taking damage to the connector when I roll. I can see I didn't even roll hard enough to break the turret yet. I mean, it's protecting the connector better, for sure. We'll just kind of squirrel around upside down. Our survival kit is smoking again. This is working great for protecting the connector, though. A couple layers of those blocks. Is that the survival kit smoking? Or is it a engine? It's the survival kit, but the survival kit is still functional. No, it's not. Okay. Yeah, survival kit's taking a lot of damage in the back here. That might just be a weakness of this design, having the survival kit not buried in the center, like I have done in other designs. The tall roll bars are working great. This is still damaged to the point of being completely dysfunctional, but the block did not get destroyed, so we're no longer having catastrophic explosions where we lose half the ship, but we haven't rolled it really hard yet, so I think something that will help us with these rolls is putting some sort of top bumper, essentially, on here that sticks out just a little bit. Something like that, maybe? I think these things are just causing me a lot of headaches that I wish I didn't have. They're kind of in an awkward spot up there. I really like this shape up here, but let's try making this out of heavy armor. So this part really wasn't blowing up though when we were rolling, and that's because of the turret on top was cushioning quite a bit of the damage. This part could have been better though. Let's paste this back in on level ground so we can check the center of mass. Make sure we're not getting that really high. It's certainly higher than it was before. It used to be centered pretty much right on this block, but it's not incredibly high. It's still pretty stout, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. Blueprint that again. Let's check how low the wheels are sitting. They're still high in the suspensions, or the suspension's still sitting high. The wheel bar is low in the suspension slot, so we haven't added so much weight that it's really bottoming us out more. we've got some heavy armor up top now. A lot of stuttering because I'm currently rendering a video. Perhaps I shouldn't be doing this right now, but I'm going to keep working on this because I want to publish this rover with publishing that video. So we're going to just do a whole bunch of testing. Maybe I'll cut this part out because it is going to be jittery. But basically all I'm doing is I'm testing durability, and I'm coming up with different armor placement schemes on top that, yeah, it's really jumpy, that look okay and more importantly work well to keep my blocks safe. So I'm going to go ahead, do a whole bunch of crashing, testing, armor placing, and we'll be back when I'm satisfied with a design. Gosh, I just cannot get this survival kit to survive. It's frustrating. Well, I've managed to blow up the survival kit again. This time, all the blocks protecting it didn't blow up, but the survival kit still blew up. So these things must be really tender or must be blowing up from an angle I'm not anticipating. Perhaps it is just really squishy and the damage that's propagating through these blocks is enough to kill it, but not enough to kill these blocks. It's kind of frustrating, but I think we're getting closer maybe to a more durable rover. We'll give this a shot now. I'm just going to try dropping it on its head. You can see the turret always breaks, but I'm not breaking the blocks down underneath here. They're perfectly fine, which I'm completely okay with. This is mostly light armor here, but the turret takes all the damage. Having these long things has pretty much kept my connector from blowing up. They look goofy, but hey, durability is more important. So cut that, paste it in, and just let it fall again. Okay. Maybe we have a bit of a solution here. It's landing. When it hits the blast doors before anything else, it does a really good job of not putting the damage through to this. So let's throw it and just see what happens. And we'll throw the car around a little bit. Yeah, you can see when the blast doors hit, it just dents the terrain, and it's okay. Ooh, I really threw it that time. Well, that's a pretty dramatic hit. And I'm sure, yeah, of course, I lost the survival kit that time. Could be damage propagating down from the top. And we could add blast doors up here to try to mitigate that. Because this won't attach to those blocks. It's attached through this block right here. What if this is what's hitting? That actually might be the case. This might be what's hitting. And then these blow up and that blows up that. We could try moving those to a different location. I'm not sure where. See, now this is going to blow up just as often because it's, well, it's kind of behind the wheel and it's kind of underneath this. So we might have solved the problem a little bit. Alright, let's blueprint this and let's toss it around a bit. See if maybe that protects it better. Now, I made a couple changes. I probably shouldn't have done that. I should have done just one or the other. But just this top change or just that. But I think both of them are improvements, so we'll just throw it nice and good. This is going to land like perfect, so it's not going to do anything probably. I can find out what bottoms out more. That's the valuable information. And see where it bottomed out. I might want to move these gyros. I think actually putting them in between would have been the better decision. So it bottomed out, but it didn't actually damage anything. Interesting. Doesn't take much to blow up the turret, but we knew that already. Give it a bit of a toss that direction. See, the front is pretty durable. Oh, look, it actually blew this up. Well, it didn't blow up the block underneath it. It did manage to damage the O2 as well. It landed kind of on its front that time, so let's get it to land on the back. And see if that blows up. Yeah. So it's transferring damage into here. And I'm not certain which blocks it's doing it through. This didn't help at all in that case. It's probably these ones. I got an idea. What if we extend this around a little bit more to where those blocks are? Because then this will hit and that will transfer damage out here. If this hits, it will transfer damage, well, to this block. Let's do a longer thing here. One of those in the middle. And something like that. That. Something like that, maybe. Then the damage will get pushed. It'll have to damage more blocks before it can transfer the damage to this block. I don't think this part is hitting. We're gonna get rid of a little bit of that though, just in case maybe that's somehow hitting and transferring damage through. I don't think these lights are the problem, because the lights are lasting longer than the survival kit. So we'll try this. And we'll just try dropping it at various angles. We'll tip it a little bit more now. Drop it a little bit higher. Makes that nice sound when it hits these guys. Okay. Oops. Tip it a little bit more. Drop it. It looks like the bumpers are doing a really good job now of really pushing the damage away from the survival kit. So upside down is fine. I think the problem now is going to be landing at an angle maybe on the side. Let's make it higher. Okay, so I lose that block, but I don't lose the blocks underneath, and they don't kill the survival kit. Let's try that again, just on the other side. Okay, see, I hit the bumper blocks again, and they did a really good job. So I need it to be more sideways? I don't know. Like that. This is a good sign. When you are starting to have a hard time blowing stuff up, then that means you're doing it right. I'm just always going to lose that turret. That's life. Yeah, this is looking pretty good. Let's just drop it flat on its head. See what happens. No damage to this. The connector's still there. I lost the turret. Looking pretty good though. Let's skip it across its roof so that it oops. So that it rolls. Because rolling is usually pretty painful. So that skipped across its roof. And we lost this. It's got to be these side blocks now. It's got to be these ones that are causing the problem. Maybe not. It could still be the top. That was a pretty hard toss. Let's do a little bit better. Probably dramatic. Alright, we're having a harder and harder time blowing this up. I think I'm going to call that good enough on durability. Let's throw a couple more. Let's throw some at some odd angles. Yeah, that one I'm sure. That was a pretty hard hit. Like I made a huge hole in the terrain. Yes, and I still lost that. So I'm still losing my survival kit, but you have to be coming in hard enough to blow a hole in the terrain to do that. I think a casual roll you should be fine. So if I just roll this over. Everything's looking fine. I can beat myself up a little bit and roll back. See how when I do that roll, I don't ever put pressure on my cockpit. I actually haven't lost my cockpit, I don't think, in all of these tests. I've got that nice roll bar on the roof, and let's, right, crash into that, roll over backwards a couple times. Okay, we're pretty durable. I'm not going to complain about this anymore. Let's just run through everything. Do a jump and land on her head. Still alive. And having a hard time flipping back over for some reason. We'll go the other way. Okay, still alive. Now we're losing the other block before it. Let's spin as we land. Yeah, we're still pretty good. Alright, so we put a lot of armor on top of our vehicle. But we're no longer losing our survival kit. So that's it's worth it. The survival kit is one of the last things you want to lose. We do need to test if I can connect to a connector with these vertical ones in the way of my connector. I have a feeling they might be just too much. We might have to move those. And we still need to test. Now I've added probably a really good chunk of weight. We need to test if we can still fly. So let's do that right away. So far this is the winning design. I have a feeling it's going to be too heavy to fly though. No, I can fly. Fly just fine. It's not fast or elegant, but it's possible. Now, if I filled my inventory, I'm not sure if I'd be able to fly, but that's good enough for me. I can fly with an empty inventory. Let's slap a connector test down. Now I can drive underneath this and perhaps line my ship up properly by driving under it and then lifting with my pistons. And that's not a terrible option, but because I can fly, I can also just connect that way. Oh, it wants to connect, and I guess technically I can connect. It's yellow right now, but it's bumping for sure. The other thing we could do is we could do some tests and see if maybe it's okay without those double high things, because we did add some cushioning here. The turret cushions in front of it fairly well. Maybe we can get away with just short ones here. That's really what I would like. It looks a lot better in my opinion. Blueprint this and just do a few drop tests. That was pretty brutal to drop test there. And it's still alive. Wow, okay. So maybe we actually don't need that now. Because I'm having a really hard time breaking this this thing here. I'm breaking that beam I put here because it sticks out further to the back. I'm breaking that off, but I'm not breaking this. So between the turret and that beam, it's cushioning from a back or a front collision quite a bit, and the side collisions don't seem to be as big of an issue because the turret always hits first and then tips it towards the back. I think we're going to be good enough with just this. I'll throw a few more just to be sure. Yeah, the connector's not breaking in any of these. And it's very unlikely I'm going to hit the ground that hard going sideways, because I have such good control with my gyroscopes that that's just very unlikely to happen. Hey, that's the first time this is all blown up. Because I have to really crash hard for that to happen. That's more realistic. Like, that speed is about the worst roll I'm realistically going to have. And yeah, it really didn't do much. It just blew up the gun. Pretty hard hit from the front side. Let's do some forward crashes. I have these bumper blocks in the front. Let's test them out. Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good, can't complain. I think we made a pretty darn durable rover. Like a bunch of dead bugs down here. Zoom, skip, bounce, boom. Let's see how this one fares. You see how it almost always lands. I mean, I'm throwing it upside down and it's still almost flipping back over to be upright. And it's completely functional. Maybe not completely functional, but like, that's not bad at all. I have all my thrusters still. I lost one of these. That is surprising. I must have hit just right. That's okay. Yeah, if I went skipping upside down that hard and then I popped into third person, this was what my rover still looked like, I'd be pretty happy. I'd be like, okay, whatever, let's do that again. Let's roll here. And gyroscopes, with them I can just flip over back upside right without having to really worry about anything. Do a backflip, going up that, land at the top. Alright, I'm happy with this rover. I'm happy with the durability of it. The armor plating setup is effective. Now, we need to do some painting. And we need to do a whole bunch of naming of blocks. We need to do a whole bunch of setting up of control groups. It really doesn't even have that many blocks to deal with, so I will go back to the base and sort out all of that. Look at the bodies everywhere. This is always what my testing world turns into. It's just a massacre. Alright, we're loaded back into the world without all the debris everywhere. This is the final armor setup. I think what I will do for painting is I will just paste this somewhere in space, and then I will go through and paint all these blocks. I'm going to swap a few things around just to make them look a tiny bit nicer. Okay, I guess that really wasn't much. I think it just needs a paint job. A very basic paint job, and it'll be alright. Alright, we've got our rover pasted into space here. This is usually how I go about doing painting and various other finishing touches. I will just paste it into space, and then I can fly around it with ease and get a good look at all the different sides where things are. Alright, I want to paste in another one of my rovers just to get the uniform paint job. This is a very similar rover that I've built in the past. We'll get the white paint color. There we go. Repaint everything that color. Let's get this dark paint color. And we're going to kind of have the same setup for that. Did that a little bit differently on that one. I like this. I like the way that looks better, but I like the way this functions. So I think what I'll do is I'll go with that color there, and then we'll just keep white on the sides. And maybe we'll invert the color scheme here a little bit. Yeah, something like that. I do like doing dark colors across the bottom. I think that looks good. Wait, is this a DLC paint? I guess it doesn't matter, because paint is one of the few things that actually gets replaced. So I'm not going to worry about that. We'll make the supports colored. I kind of would like to cap these. So we are going to do that. Alright, that's better. Block placing is done, painting's done. Let's go inside to do all of the tedious other nonsense. So we need to rename all of this stuff so that it makes sense and has some sort of prefix so that when it's attached to another grid I can see what grid all these blocks belong to. Alright, I always do like kind of abbreviations so that this doesn't take up a whole ton of room. This is tutorial rover, so 2 row is perfectly acceptable. I did think of one more thing to slip in here, and that is the repair projector. We've been neglecting that. I'm going to put it right underneath here. Normally I don't put these on the bottom because bottoming out is something that worries me. But on this rover that hasn't been a problem. Rolling has been much more of a problem, so I always try to put my repair projector somewhere where it's least likely to break. And I haven't damaged stuff underneath this block, I think, ever in all of my testing, so that's a really good spot for me to put my repair projector. And the way you want to set this up is there's a side with a cross and there's a side with a bar on it. The bar should face the back and the cross should face the top. So I will stick that right in there. Cover it back up. So I always name this repair so I know what it does. I'll go to my blueprints now. Actually, so once you place the projector, what you want to do is you want to have everything on your ship pretty much done, and then you want to blueprint it. I always rename this blueprint for repairs, and we exit out of that, go into here. We project that right away, and then we always, before you line it up, remember to click keep projection, otherwise as soon as you line it up it'll turn off and you have to start all over again. And I will click show only buildable, but we're going to line it up first. Unfortunately it's projecting this backwards, so at some point I did something backwards. I either placed the projector backwards, which I'm pretty sure I didn't, or my landing gear was facing the other way when I first started this ship. Otherwise this would be forwards. That's fine, we just go into our projector and we flip it around. That's flipped around. Something to note, just for gameplay in general, there is a setting for the game that lets you make your heads-up display transparent. You can change the transparency of it, and I always like to make it partially transparent, so when I'm in menus like this, I can see what I'm doing in the background. And it just saves me a lot of time, especially with things like this where I'm tweaking something. When you have your blueprint completely lined up, it will show that you have build progress complete, and this is the point where it would just kill your projection if you didn't have keep projection on, so definitely don't forget to do that. But that is pretty much set up now for the repair projector. Something I want to note is that you should not use a blueprint that has a projector, like the ship you blueprint that you're going to project for repairs should not itself have a projector with data in it on it. So make your ship clear any projectors of blueprints that they have, blueprint that, and then that is the blueprint you will use for your repair projector. The reason you want to do that is because if you're projecting a blueprint that has projectors with blueprints saved in them, you have a weird nesting situation where you make your file size really big really fast, and it just causes things to load more slowly, and it can cause lag for servers. It can cause lag even just in multiplayer if you have really big grids and repair projectors that are projecting ships with projectors that are projecting ships, and it can create some weird loops, and I just recommend not doing it. If you're doing it on a server, you might end up getting your ship deleted if it's causing lag, so try not to do that. Alright, I did a little more drive testing, and after going off some jumps I decided to turn up the wheel suspensions to 10%. It does make you bounce more, but you bottom out less, so it's worth it. You don't really want to be bottoming out in something like this. And that's pretty much it for polishing up this rover. I'm going to go publish this now and put it into the testing world that I'm also going to publish with the other video. So hopefully you enjoyed this, and hopefully you can enjoy driving this rover around a bunch. See you in the next one.